is a story all about.
Before we get into this documentary, I wanted to say a few interesting facts about Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Bonhoeffer had a twin sister. He played the piano, and he was so skilled that his parents thought he might become a professional musician. Bonhoeffer was a big fan of bullfighting. Though Bonhoeffer lived for a short time, he traveled so many places. He visited Cuba, Mexico, Italy, Libya, Denmark, Sweden, Spain, England, and the United States. Bonhoeffer was intrigued by Gandhi's method of nonviolent resistance. He actually got permission to visit Gandhi, but the two never met because Bonhoeffer was needed in Germany. And the last interesting fact is that Bonhoeffer got his driver's license while in the United States, but it took him 3 tries. Okay, now let's get more into the documentary. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was born on February 4th, 1906 in Breslau, Germany. Although his family was German, they were against Nazi rule. As a boy, Bonhoeffer's mother always told him to speak out against Nazis because they went against God's will. This made Bonhoeffer want to learn more about God. He wanted to become a pastor. Bonhoeffer went to Berlin University to study theology, which was the study of God. After getting his degree in theology, Bonhoeffer became a theologian lecturer at the same school he graduated from. However, he was later fired because he often taught against Nazi rule. Anywho, when Hitler first came into rule, Bonhoeffer was furious. Bonhoeffer was a theologian, and he knew that when Hitler said God believed Jews were subhuman, he was incorrect. 2 days after Hitler became chancellor, Bonhoeffer went to a radio station and gave a speech live on air. He talked about problems the country would have under the rule of a Führer. But the speech was cut short by Hitler's henchmen. Bonhoeffer joined an underground resistance group called the Confessing Church. This group went against Nazi rule and was determined to assassinate Hitler. The group made 2 attempts to kill Hitler. The first attempt was codenamed Operation Flash. The operation included planting a bomb on Hitler's plane. Unfortunately, the bomb did not end up detonating. After that attempt failed, the group was determined to kill Hitler this time. They got one of the members of the resistance group to be a suicide bomber. The bomber carried bombs in his coat and waited for Hitler to arrive. Hitler finally arrived for the meeting, but the supposedly long meeting was cut short by Hitler. Once again, the group had failed. The Nazis started to discover members of the resistance group, including Bonhoeffer. One by one, members were getting arrested. Eventually, Bonhoeffer was arrested as well. He was taken to Tegel prison in Berlin. He served 2 years there before being moved to Flossenburg concentration camp. While at the camp, the government and Hitler decided to execute all of the resistance members. On April 9, 1945, Bonhoeffer was hung at Flossenburg concentration camp at the age of 39. Okay, so now that you know more about Dietrich Bonhoeffer, let's review. Bonhoeffer was a German that went against Nazi rule. His reason to go against the Nazis was that Hitler said Jews were subhuman, and Bonhoeffer knew that this was incorrect. He joined an underground anti-Nazi resistance group. They plotted and made plans to assassinate Hitler, which we all know were fails. He was eventually arrested along with other resistance members, and lastly, he was executed at a concentration camp. Throughout his lifetime, Bonhoeffer continuously spoke out against Nazis and Hitler. He encouraged others to stand against Nazi rule despite the consequences. He was one of the few individuals that were brave enough to stand up for what they believed in. He was a hero.